Hello everyone and welcome to episode 17 of the Local to Global save here on TEW9 with Castle Pro Wrestling based in Edinburgh, Scotland. And it's an interesting time here in Castle Pro. We're ending the year 2000. We're not going to end it in today's episode. We're going to do 8 TV tapings, which that's a lot. But the way it falls this month is we have one at the beginning of the month and one right at the end. So we are going to run that, well, now in a minute. We're going to do the first block of tapings and then we're going to come back and do the next block, and that will be today's episode. Next episode will be Graps in the Grass Market, Christmas in the Gardens, and then the December block, end of the year wrap up as well. That will be the next episode. But today we've got some stuff booked. I've got the first 4 TV shows booked. And then I've got a few other things booked, ready to go for the next lot, and I can figure out what I want to do when we get to those. Money-wise, it's interesting. I think it's just, I don't know what to do. Our merchandise was really bad last month because we only ran the one block of tapings. And it's our worst merchandise since June. Sponsors was good. Sponsors is going to keep going up as well. It's going to be 5.5 unless we gain popularity as well. Ticket sales, we're trying cheap tickets for this block, so hopefully ticket sales will be up. And it's just, I don't know. We might lose another. I think we're going to lose a chunk of money going forward for a little while. Luckily, because of that alliance thing last episode, we have managed to create a buffer zone at least for us, so that helps. Anyway, nothing major to talk about. The economy and industry are still rising, which is good. That means we're not having to worry about that problem anymore. Ticket prices, as I said, we're going to do cheap tickets for today's TV taping, and if it goes well we'll keep them cheap, and if it goes bad we'll put them back down to very cheap. Very cheap has the benefit of gaining size a lot faster, but it's catch-22. So we'll try cheap for this one. If it fails, we'll go back to very cheap at the end of the month. I am going to get right into booking these blocks of TV, so I'll see you guys in a second, and we'll get through episode 1, or episode 7 technically, of Live in Edinburgh. And we are go for the first Live in Edinburgh. It's episode 7 of Live in Edinburgh. We are going to get dinged on the ratings quite badly, I think, this month, because we have reduced the live event experience back down to volunteers to see what that does financially. So we'll get dinged for that penalty because it's worse than our rivals, quote unquote. And we're also going to get dinged because our ring went to the wrong building. So we've got a different ring, so it's all just a shambles. It's all gone wrong. But anyway, we open the show. The Dominator storms to the ring and he calls out the Gravedigger, saying he knows he's back there somewhere. Gravedigger comes out and apologises for not being there last week, but his mind has been elsewhere. Dominator tells him to snap out of it and tells Rigor Mortis that if he wants him in the ring tonight, but there's no answer, this week at least, to that challenge, as friction potentially forming between the former tag champs here. He gets a 48. More on that story to develop. We then go into our first match of the evening as Johnny Storm and Darren Burridge defeat the Scottish Highlanders when Johnny Storm pins Rory McAllister. Johnny Storm exists still. I don't use him very often, but it still exists. Obviously, the Highlanders don't work as a tag team, we know that anyway, and Darren Burridge is by far the best guy in this match, which is good because we have plans for him going forward, so that's actually quite nice to see. We then have the boys. Roughneck comes down to the ring. He rolls out a red carpet on his way down as Justin Starr makes his entrance before the new Castle Pro Wrestling STV champion Scottish Chris Diamond makes an elaborate entrance. He thanks everyone again for what happened last week, but mainly he has to thank the big man upstairs for blessing him with such incredible talent at everything he does. He tells Roughneck and Justin Starr that they have a new mission. Not only are they to protect Diamond, of course, but hey, go and win the tag titles, and we'll have the Smashing Diamonds rule Castle Pro Wrestling. He then, just to let us know, he's working on that new Christmas single, and we're going to hear more about that soon. So that's very exciting developments from Chris Diamond. We then have a match where the Smashing Diamonds of Roughneck and Justin Starr defeat Bulk and Big Dave, when Roughneck pins Big Dave with a Rough Rider. I don't know why I have to say Big Dave that way, but I do. Yep. And Bulk and Big Dave are fine, like they're just kind of there. Bulk was off his game, but Roughneck, another really good performance from Roughneck. And we've got plans for Roughneck for the rest of the year, so that's good. We then go into our main event match of the evening as Doug Williams beats Tex Benedict with the Chaos Theory to defend the Scottish National Championship. This is just to get Doug on the show. Tex Benedict looked pretty decent stat-wise, and they got a 58 together, pulled in a 34. With the ring situation, I don't think that's too bad a main event. And then afterwards, Doug Williams calls out the rest of the locker room and says he wants an actual challenge in this company for once. And anyone who wants a shot at the king can get one, but you better not miss. It gets a 57. We get a 51, which is really good, considering we did get dinged probably about 6 or 7 points for these two problems down the bottom. So we'll take that any day of the week. Time for episode number 8. So this show might be a bit of a mess because I didn't actually finish booking episode 8. I just sort of booked 3 segments and then didn't book 2 matches, so I had to just throw matches together. Anyway, Hoovy comes to the ring as he wants to speak to the fans and apologises for not getting the job done against Chris Diamond. He had the match won, but that pain in the ass Roughneck once again cost him. He knows Roughneck won't have a match with Hoovy, but since he heard about tag ambitions, Hoovy says maybe he'll have to go find a partner for tonight's main event against the Smashing Diamonds. It gets a 67. It's a really good opener. We then have the firm come down. Doug says nobody has yet accepted his challenge, well, at least nobody worthwhile. He tells the tag champs Nigel and Rampage that it seems there's a few teams out there who want a shot at them. Rampage laughs it off but says, as a treat, the winner of tonight's main event can get a shot next week. That gets a 50. And they then have a match because I didn't book anything, and they just beat Ian Harrison and Duncan Disorderly. Ian Harrison, by the way, pulled in a 28, which was better than Nigel McGuinness. That's concerning, Nigel. It's really concerning that Ian Harrison is outperforming you, and Duncan Disorderly got a 37. Maybe Duncan Disorderly needs to join the firm. Maybe he does. We'll see. He gets a 37. And in another throwaway match, John Ryan beats Andre Baker. I have literally nothing to say about that match. So 36, we move on to tonight's main event when the Smashing Diamonds of Justin Starr and Roughneck defeat Juventud Guerrera and PJ Black when Roughneck pins PJ Black with a handful of tights. Roughneck with a 44, by the way. So Roughneck, out of nowhere, Roughneck has really decided to put the style back on. And we get a 46 for this one. Again, we've got the 2 dinged penalties, but that's fine. We can live with those. Not an issue. I'm going to go right into episode 9 next because there's nothing really to talk about in the middle, and I don't want to give away any booking notes, so back in just a second. And it's episode 9 of Live in Edinburgh, and we are kicking off in a big way. The intro video is cut off midway through as Rigor Mortis appears in the ring amidst a sea of smoke. He says, it's time for story time with Rigor Mortis. Yes, Gravedigger and Rigor Mortis are in fact brothers. And yes, they may have not got along in life and that they may have their differences, but he wants to put that aside. He's extending the olive branch to Gravedigger to join him as brothers to reign upon Castle Pro. The Dominator's music hits before Rigor Mortis can get any further into story time, but by the time he gets to the ring, the smoke has enveloped the ring and Rigor Mortis is gone. Spooky business. And yes, we're getting further into the lore that I'm just making up on the fly between Rigor Mortis, the Gravedigger, and the Dominator. All building towards something, don't worry at all. Up next, we have a match as Jody Fleisch defeats Tex Benedict. Yep, 39 overall, Jody Fleisch gets a win. Gets a 40, which is pretty good. Jodie Fleisch, definitely someone I've got my eye on for like that STV title area. So he gets a big win here, as does Darren Burridge, who defeats Duncan Disorderly by pinfall. He gets a 38 despite being off his game. He gets a 41 overall, and afterwards I didn't actually know what his mic skills were like, but he gets a 44. As he, off a big win, he says he wants to be the very first man to take a crack at Chris Diamond's STV Championship and makes the offer for a match next week. We then have our main event, as the tag titles are on the line, but the firm do defeat the Smashing Diamonds of Roughneck and Justin Starr when Nigel McGuinness submitted Justin Starr with the London Dungeon to make defence number 6 of the tag titles. It's a good match. Nigel again for very poor performance, but Roughneck again with a 46, the second best guy in the match, and only a few off of Rampage Brown, which is fantastic. The show gets a 39, which again, we are being double dinged here. Okay, I reckon we're losing at least 5 or 6 points of overall rating because of this, but we're still well above the minimum required for STV. I'm going to pause again, book the last episode, which will be episode 10, and we can also see what the attendance was. And we're in front of 185 people, which is very disappointing. The pre-show stuff said that it was going to be about 215, but obviously because of I know the game does this weird thing where like it kind of spoils what your rating's going to be with the attendance. Like if you get a low attendance, it means the show's not going to be not as good as it could be. We are obviously, I said, being double dinged with 2 penalties as well. But anyway, it's fine. We'll move on. Chris Diamond accepts the challenge of Darren Burridge for tonight, but he wants to discuss what happened with Roughneck and Justin Starr. They didn't get the job done last week, which is disappointing, but ultimately, who cares? Because the big news, everybody, is that Chris Diamond will reveal his Christmas #1 song next week on Live in Edinburgh. Yes, very exciting times. Chris Diamond's attempt at the new Christmas #1 will be revealed next week. Obviously, that will be like in December, end of November that I'll play. So like he's actually got it released in time, this one. Gets a 38. This random match gets a 36. And lo and behold, people, we found people who have chemistry together. It's Kelt Kennedy and Andre Baker. So there you go, there's a new tag team. Kelt Kennedy and Andre Baker will be a new tag team. And they do get the win when Andre Baker pins Johnny Storm with the Frankensteiner. So there we go. We need to think of a name for these two guys, because I'm making them a tag team. I don't care. Gets a 36. We then get a 43 as Christopher Daniels defeats Chris Charisma with the Angel's Wings. Nothing really to say here. This was just to get Daniels on TV and to get Daniels a win. Gets a 46. So Christopher Daniels definitely improving at a very rapid pace. Again, I did debate giving him the STV Championship, and he will probably be featuring in that picture going down the road. And then we get a 46 for this segment, which is a bit of a kind of out of nowhere, but I needed a match for Doug next week. So Doug Williams comes to the ring and says it looks like nobody wants a shot at the title anytime soon. And he's interrupted by the music of Jorge Castano, of all people. Doug laughs and says, like, what the hell are you doing around here? But Jorge says, might be new around these parts, but he'll take on the challenge. As Doug starts to laugh again, but Jorge slaps him in the face, which pisses Doug off. Then he shakes it off and smiles and says, you know what? I like that. I like that from you, kid. You've got it. Next week, you get a shot at the National Championship. Gets a 46. And in our main event, we get a 44, which is okay, as Chris Diamond does defeat Darren Burridge with the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. He makes defence #1 of the STV Championship. Darren Burridge really poor in that match, actually. Chris Diamond with a 46. That might be the best rating he's ever got. The show gets a 38. That's, again, I'm not going to harp on about that too much. And we've lost $9,000 again on the show. So we've made the ticket sales. Let's just move on. We've not even gained any popularity either. It's just, oh god. Going on TV was a bad idea, wasn't it? Or I should have stuck with Live in Edinburgh and made Live in Edinburgh weekly. I should have done that. But then I'd have to pay 4 different installments of... Can you tell I'm not sure what I'm doing now? Because I feel very conflicted, because on the one hand, TV, yay. We like TV around here. That's a good thing. We're not really getting any broadcast revenue out of it though. And obviously the deal is just covering Scotland, which is like not ideal, but obviously we are very limited in what TV options we have currently. I'm very curious as to how Christmas in the Gardens is going to go next episode. I'm very curious, because I need that show to do gangbusters. And I think the plan will be, I don't really want to book a pay-per-view every month, but I mean, that's bad. Like, obviously sponsorship we're going to gain about 5,000, so that's going to eat into that quite considerably. Production's obviously halved as well as it stands, but I think that goes up. Merchandise is going to not really go up much more either, which is really annoying. Because do we get mail order? Yeah, $5 per popularity point per each region. So we'll gain some more merch. We'll have a look at that, because the next show is going to be just before the end of the month. So we can have a look at all of those things. But interesting. But we've done alright here though. 185 compared to 217. 190. I think we need to go back to very cheap tickets. There we go. We'll go back to very cheap for this. Try and get the popularity gains as well. And I think like ticket sales is not worth it. It's negligible, the difference between very cheap and cheap. So we're just going to stick with very cheap. And I'll see you guys in about 4 seconds as we get ready to book episodes 11 through 14 of Live in Edinburgh as we plan up Christmas in the Gardens. Well, a little while later, it's time to book the last 4 Live in Edinburghs of this episode. Hopefully we will have hopefully there'll be some good shows. We've had no ring issues this time, so it will just be the one penalty we get dinged for, which thank God after last time. Hopefully we'll have over 200 or so people. 270 I think it was projecting, so fingers crossed all those people are here as well. And then we'll see what godforsaken state the finances are in by the end of this show. But before all of that, Chris Diamond makes his grand entrance to the ring as he proudly announces the world premiere live on STV of his attempt to get to Christmas number 1. He tells the band to hit it and he starts singing what can only be described as a reworked version of last year's Christmas number 1, which was something by Westlife, and says nothing will beat him to the top spot as he thanks his adoring crowd. So that's all lovely stuff from Chris Diamond and the Smashing Diamonds. They're having a delightful time. The segment's a 39, which is about the sort of average. And then up next we'll have more about the Christmas single, by the way, don't worry. We have a thrown together tag team match between a tag team that have excellent chemistry and a tag team that have none, as Andre Baker and Kelt Kennedy beat the Scottish Highlanders. It gets a 30, the match is pretty bad, but it's a win for Baker and Kennedy. We then, next segment, so this is a bit disappointing in this news, but Christopher Daniels comes to the ring and announces that he's going to be out for about half a year with a torn rotator cuff. It was a year initially, but we took some surgery and it was successful, so it's down to half a year. He's back at the end of May, I believe. He says he'll come back stronger than ever, but he's interrupted by the Firm, who set about the ring like a pack of dogs and beat him down. He's saved by the arrival of Juve, Jorge Castano and PJ Black, who run down with chairs to chase the Firm off. It writes off Daniels, gets the Firm some heat, and it builds up to some stuff that we're going to be doing going forward. 46 for that, which is pretty good. Then you get a 38 match as Darren Burridge, who we've got very big plans for this month, defeats LT Summers by pinfall. Pretty easy for Darren Burridge. 38 overall. And in our main event, Just from earlier on, we had Jorge Castano running to save Christopher Daniels. Doug Williams does defeat Jorge Castano to Chaos Fury to make defence number 5 of the title. He gets a 56. Overall, the show gets a 49, which we can live with. That's not too bad at all. It's episode 12 of Live in Edinburgh, and we kick off where we sort of finished last week. Juvi and PJ Black are in the ring, and they say what happened last week was an absolute disgrace. Daniels didn't deserve that at all, and they call out the firm for a title match tonight. The firm come out and say, well, why should you get a title match? You've teamed once, and you lost. They can have a match, but not for the title, but they're generous guys. If they win, how about a title match at Christmas in the Gardens? So that's not too bad. Juvi comes across well, it gets a 49. Our main event is now set, the firm versus Juvi and PJ. But then go into Baker and Kelt Kennedy getting a pretty big win over the Smashing Diamonds in just under 11 minutes when Andre Baker pins Justin Starr. Roughneck again, the best guy in the match, so that's good to see. Everyone else, varying degrees of meh, basically, but a big win for Baker and Kennedy. They continue to have a little bit of a hot streak here. And then we have some fun stuff. The Dominator and the Gravedigger come to the ring, and the Gravedigger says he has an announcement to make. Unfortunately, for rigor mortis, that is, what happened in the past did definitely happen, and he will never team with his little brother. He assures the Dominator he has his back, and says, let's get back to what we're used to, and kicking some ass. They shake hands, and smoke appears in the ring, but we don't see rigor mortis. So, it's, the Dominator and Gravedigger are back together teaming, and they kick the living daylights out of Tex Benedict and Duncan Disorderly. The Dominator now outperforming the Gravedigger, surprisingly, which is interesting. But they get the win, 48. It's good to see these lads teaming again. And in our main event, it's another decent match of 47 as Juventud Guerrera and PJ Black defeat the firm. In a surprise upset, really, as Juventud Guerrera pins Nigel McGuinness with the 450. We had Juvi off his game, but he's still the best guy in the match by a sole point over Rampage. But that sets up a title match at the pay-per-view, the big show. It's going to be Juvi and PJ taking on the firm in a rematch of this. Hopefully we can get a better rating in the rematch. The show gets a 45, which is fine. We're just building some stuff with the TV here, and we're still getting ahead of the minimum requirements. Episode 13 starts with a pretty big segment, as Rigor Mortis once again breaks the show format and opens in the ring surrounded by smoke and says he has an offer for the Dominator. Me versus you, Christmas in the Gardens. It's clear they have some business to work out, so why not do it in the ring? This brings out the Gravedigger, who's in street clothes, surprisingly, who says, look, you don't have to do this. We don't have to. Why can't Mortis just go away and get out of his life? Mortis says, well, I can't do that. And then disappears in smoke. Ooh, all that fun stuff. It gets a 46, it's pretty good. I'm really enjoying this angle. I'm really enjoying it. And then we've got Darren Burridge picking up a win over Phil Powers. They've both got a 38, which is surprising and a bit annoying because Darren Burridge is in a big segment next because he challenges Doug. He says he may have fallen short in his challenge for the STV title, but that won't stop him. He wants the big dog. He wants the main man himself, and he calls out Doug Williams. Doug comes down with an amused look on his face and asks if this is what Darren really, really wants. And Darren says it is. He wants this match. Doug says, okay, you can have a little match because you had the balls to call me out. And he slaps Darren Burridge in the face. And Burridge stands tall, doesn't flinch. He goes to retaliate, but he smirks and instead tells Doug, look, I'll see you in 2 weeks, brother. Good little promo, 46. Not too mad about it. I've not really got any challengers for Doug, and Doug's kind of feel like he's slipping a little bit in the background, so I just thought we can promote some guys to sort of be his main opponents. Going forward, we can figure something out. We then have a match where Jody Fleisch beats Jorge Castano. Jorge Castano was really off his game. Jody Fleisch looked good, however, which is positive. He gets a 33 overall. Nothing really to say about that. Jody Fleisch is featured next week, so we'll have something to say about his win there. And then, to build up our main event, Andre Baker and Kel Kennedy come down, ready to wrestle, when they call out Juvi and PJ Black. Andre says, look, you just can't jump the line with one win. You know, they're 1-1 as a tag team. They've been on a winning streak, and it should be them to face the champs. And Juvi says, look, that's fair. That's fair. So the easiest way to figure this out is we'll have a match right now, and whoever wins faces the champs. They all agree. It gets a 43. The match itself gets a 46 for our main event, and PJ Black and Juvi do pick up the win when PJ Black pins Kel Kennedy with the 450. It's a decent match. Not much else to say, really. Juvi with a great performance. A 46 is fine, and they continue a little mini hot streak here. They've beat the informed team in the company. The show resulted in no changes, which is fine. And it's time for one last Live in Edinburgh. So we're in front of 259 people, which is really good. Hopefully that will help offset the damage that this is going to be at the end, because it's not going to be good, I don't think, at the end. But hopefully you guys are okay with this new format, by the way, where we're just sort of flying through the TV, because it's easier to book this way if I just book them all and just kind of bang, 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 bang. Pause the recording, put all the matches in, hit record again. But we opened the show with the Dominator defeating Rory McAllister with a pile driver. Dominator gets a 59, he looks fantastic. It's a dominating win for the big man. And afterwards, he sent a big message to Rigor Mortis, and he grabs a mic and says he can't wait for next week when he absolutely destroys Rigor Mortis and sends him packing from Castle Pro. Once again, however, Gravedigger comes out and he's trying to play the middleman. He's like, look, we don't have to do this. And Dominator replies, yes he does. And a laughing Rigor Mortis appears on stage with the smoke and all the fun stuff and says, yes he does. We have to do this. We have to have this match. It will be Rigor Mortis versus the Dominator at Christmas in the Gardens. What's going to happen? You let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen in that match. It gets a 45. We then get a 43 because here's the big news, the big segment of the show. This is the one we care about. Chris Diamond comes to the ring and he's heard that the official Christmas #1 charts are out, and he's excited to share this moment with his band, his record label, and adoring fans. He asks the man on the PA to play the Christmas #1, knowing it will be his magnificent song. But when the music starts, it appears to be Can We Fix It by Bob the Builder as the crowd laugh. Diamond loses it, throwing everything across the ring, and he's shouting at him, turn that crap off, and he starts walking out the ring towards the PA in a big old huff. And yes, in case you're wondering if you're outside of the UK, yes, the Christmas #1 in the year 2000 was Can We Fix It by Bob the Builder. This is not a serious island. I don't know if you know this. But yeah, Bob the Builder's Can We Fix It. I hated that when I was this age, when I was 9. I hated it. But it gets a 43, and then we reveal the culprit of that joke, as just Jody Fleisch comes down to the ring holding a CD in his hand, because it's 2000, and laughs as he asks, has everybody enjoyed that? He knew that Diamond would never accept the challenge outright, so he wanted to make fun of him and make him feel bad. Diamond then comes back out still irate, he's still just raging, and he has an offer for Jody though. Okay, you want a shot at my title? Beat Roughneck right now, and you can get a shot at the belt next week. Before Jody can even accept, Roughneck jumps him from behind, and the match is on. That got a 37. Their match gets a 45, which is really good, as Jody Fleisch beats Roughneck with the shooting star pile driver. He was really off his game, but he still dropped a 38. Roughneck with a really impressive 42. Roughneck, again, just out of nowhere, being really good once again. I don't quite understand it. And then we have a decent match in the main event as the firm draw with Juventud Guerrera, PJ Black and Darren Burridge in 15 minutes when the match descended into chaos. Doug's got a gimmick that's getting stale, so that's something we need to look at, but everybody looking pretty good except for Nigel and PJ, and Darren Burridge wasn't really good either, but we ignore that. It gets a 46. The show gets a 42. And now we need to see the damage. It's another 9,000 we've lost. Okay. But popularity we have gone up to 38 at least. So that's the good news. The finances are a concern. December's going to be a really interesting month because we're going to lose a lot of money in November again. December's going to be interesting because we've got one TV taping. So if we lose 9,000, we then have the sponsorship through the month, which we'll know most of it by the time the TV taping happens. But we're also running Christmas in the Gardens. So that'll be normal tickets, STV, and it's an event. So we should hopefully gain a decent chunk of income. If we make about 4,000 or 5,000 off that show, I think we need to put a monthly show on. Or at least every 2 months. It's 6 a year, potentially. I just don't think we can go any further without having that extra show just to make that money back, because 9 grand is a lot. I don't know if you know that. 9 grand's a lot of money to be losing every time. But we've got a good show. I thought they were pretty decent episodes of Castle Pro live in Edinburgh. And yeah, I mean, we've booked 14 of these now, and the attendance was better. So we'll see what the viewership gets. If we look at our top 100 TV ratings, actually viewerships, you know, episode 7 was really strong. And then we've not gone below 950 at least. So that's positive news. But that's going to be, I think, it. We have Christmas in the Gardens coming up in 24 days. And I don't think there's any spoilers here. But currently our lineup is as follows. Chris Diamond versus Jodie Fleisch for the STV Championship. Doug Williams defends against Darren Burridge for the National Championship. Juventud Guerrera and PJ Black challenge the firm for the Tag Team Championships. And the Dominator takes on Rigor Mortis in the grudge match of the century. I just need to make sure that my boy is available. And it looks like he will be. So that's fine. That is fine. That's going to do it for today's episode though. We're going to skip actually ahead to the end of the month. We've only got 1 day left, so I'm going to quickly do that, and we're going to have a look at the finances. Yeah, so the finances are... Yeah, we lost 23,000 doing those 2 tapings that month. It's... Yeah... We spend a lot of money. It's the production for ITV is atrocious. It's so expensive. For STV is so expensive. But I think, right now, we've got to think about the long game here. When we were doing double shows, so if we look at April, we made 2 grand because we made that much. I think we made 5.5 grand in ticket sales. So if we lose 9 grand on a TV taping, but we gain that money back via ticket sales, broadcast revenue as well, because we will be showing the show on TV, we'll see what it looks like. We might have to think of something going forward. Ignore the note about Duncan Disorderly, by the way. We are in contract talks with him, so he will be staying. But yeah, I'm going to end the episode there. The financial outlook is bleak, but I'm optimistic that we have a solution to help mitigate that a little bit. But I'm going to get this episode wrapped up, edited and uploaded. And then I'm going to go ahead and book Christmas in the Gardens and the next 4 live in Edinburghs, which that's a lot of booking to do. But I'll go do that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know your thoughts, likes, comments, subscribes, all that fun stuff. Hopefully you're looking forward to the next big show. And hopefully we'll make some money. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.